How can I study philosophy on my own? That's a great question. Studying philosophy on your own can be rewarding and challenging, but also daunting and confusing. Philosophy is the study of the truths, ideas, and principles surrounding existence and knowledge, and it can help you develop your critical thinking, reasoning, and communication skills. Here are some steps you can take to study philosophy on your own. 1. Get an overview of the history and branches of philosophy. Philosophy is a broad and diverse field that spans thousands of years and covers many topics such as ethics, metaphysics, epistemology, logic, aesthetics, political philosophy, and more. To get a sense of the scope and development of philosophy, you can start by reading some introductory books or articles that provide a general survey of the main periods, movements, and thinkers in Western and Eastern philosophy. You can also watch some videos or podcasts that explain the basics of philosophy in an engaging way. 2. Choose a topic or a philosopher that interests you. Once you have a general idea of what philosophy is about, you can narrow down your focus to a specific area or question that intrigues you. For example, you might be interested in the nature of reality, the meaning of life, the morality of actions, the validity of arguments, or the role of art. Alternatively, you might be curious about the views and arguments of a particular philosopher, such as Plato, Descartes, Kant, Nietzsche, or such. You can use online resources or guides to find out more about different topics or philosophers. 3. Read some primary and secondary sources. The best way to learn philosophy is to read the original works of the philosophers themselves. However, these texts can be difficult to understand without some guidance or background knowledge. Therefore, it is also helpful to read some secondary sources that explain, analyze, or critique the primary sources. Secondary sources can be books, articles, commentaries, or reviews written by other philosophers or scholars who are experts on the topic or philosophy you are studying. 4. Read actively and critically. Philosophy is not just about absorbing information, but about engaging with ideas and arguments. When you read a philosophical text, you should not just passively accept what the author says, but actively question it and evaluate it for yourself. You should also try to identify the main thesis, premises, conclusions, assumptions, objections, and implications of the text. To help you do this, you can use some reading strategies such as 5. Read through the text multiple times. Most philosophical texts are complex and dense and require careful attention and analysis. You should not expect to understand everything in one reading. Instead, you should read through the text several times, each time with a different purpose or focus. During the first reading, look at the table of contents, key points, and her glossary if available. Then quickly scan through the passage itself. Move quickly, reading one page in roughly 30 to 60 seconds. Underline terms and ideas that jump out at you in pencil. Mark any unfamiliar terms or concepts as well. For the second reading, flip through the text at a similar pace, but stop to look up any terms or phrases you do not recognize and cannot define by context. Write down their definitions in your own words in the margins or on a separate sheet of paper. For the third reading, slow down and read more carefully. Try to identify the main argument or point of each paragraph or section. Summarize it in one sentence in your own words and write it down next to the paragraph or section. For the fourth reading et confus, go back to any parts that are still unclear or confusing to you. Reread them more closely and try to figure out what they mean or how they relate to the rest of the text. You can also consult some secondary sources for clarification or explanation. Take notes. Taking notes is an essential part of reading philosophy. It helps you organize your thoughts, remember important information, and prepare for writing or discussion. You can take notes in different ways depending on your preference and purpose. You can use mind maps to visually represent the main ideas and connections in a text. You can start with a central concept or question in the middle of a page, and then branch out with subtopics or you can use outlines to hierarchically structure the main points and subpoints in a text zone. You can use bullet points or numbers to indicate different levels of detail or importance.
You can use summaries to condense the main argument or message of a text in your own word zone. You can write a summary for each paragraph section or chapter, depending on the length and complexity of the text. You can use questions to stimulate your curiosity and critical thinking about a text tone. You can ask questions before, during, and after reading a text, such as,
what is the main question or problem that the author is trying to address? What is the main thesis or claim that the author is trying to defend or prove? What are the main reasons or evidence that the author provides to support their thesis or claim? What are the main objections or counterarguments that the author anticipates or responds to? What are the main implications or consequences of the author's thesis or claim? Do you agree or disagree with the author's thesis or claim? Why or why not? What are some alternative perspectives or solutions to the question or problem that the author is addressing? How does the author's argument relate to other arguments or texts on the same topic or issue? Annotate. Annotating is another way of interacting with a text and making it your own. It involves writing comments, questions, reactions, or connections on the text itself. You can use different symbols, colors, or abbreviations to mark different types of annotations. For example, you can use a star to indicate something important, or you can use a question mark to indicate something unclear or confusing. You can use an exclamation point to indicate something surprising or shocking. You can use a plus sign to indicate something you agree with or support. You can use a minus sign to indicate something you disagree with or oppose. You can use a circle to indicate something you want to learn more about or research further. You can use an arrow to indicate a connection or implication between two ideas or arguments.
6. Discuss and debate with others. Philosophy is not a solitary activity, but a social one. It involves dialogue and exchange of ideas with other people who share your interest in philosophy. Discussing and debating with others can help you clarify your own thoughts, expose you to different perspectives, challenge your assumptions, and improve your communication skills. You can find people to discuss and debate philosophy with in various ways, such as
joining a philosophy club, group class, or course in your area or on LinkedIn. You can look for local meetups, events, workshops, seminars, lectures, podcasts, webinars, forums, blogs, newsletters, magazines, journals, or websites that are related to philosophy and offer opportunities for discussion and debate. Finding a philosophy mentor, tutor, coach, or partner who can guide you, teach you, support you, challenge you, and give you feedback on your philosophical learning one. You can look for someone who has more experience or expertise in philosophy than you do, and who is willing to share their knowledge and insights with you. You can also look for someone who has similar interests and goals as you do, and who is willing to learn with you and participating in a philosophical dialogue or inquiry using the Socratic Method 3. The Socratic Method is a way of inquiring about the world by asking participatory, open-ended questions that stimulate critical thinking and elicit deeper understanding. You can use the Socratic Method to explore any philosophical topic or question with another person or a group of people. The basic steps of the Socratic Method: choose a topic or question that interests you and that has no clear or definitive answer. Ask an initial question that invites multiple perspectives or opinions on the topic or question. Listen carefully and respectfully to the responses of others and try to understand their reasoning. Ask follow-up questions that challenge. Clarify, probe, expand, compare. Contrast, evaluate, synthesize, or apply the responses of others. Encourage others to ask questions as well, and respond honestly and thoughtfully to their questions. Summarize the main points and insights that emerge from the dialogue and identify any areas of agreement, disagreement, confusion, doubt, ambiguity, paradox, contradiction, implication, or further inquiry. I hope these steps will help you study philosophy on your own more effectively and enjoyably.